Sullivan Fortner. And now let's invite to the stage Mark Ruffin for Conversation with Sullivan.
How are you?
Overwhelmed, surprised, shocked, kind of in disbelief. Almost when I got the news about it, I just kind of had it in the back of my mind and just kind of put it off. Didn't really think, I kind of feel undeserving, unworthy of it, but also very humbled. And
now, you've known for a few weeks. Is that right?
I've known for a few months.
A few months, okay.
Yeah.
Where were you? How'd you find out?
I was in Atlanta. Well, I got a phone call from Chris Meese, who's out there. Has probably been probably one of my best friends for like 20 years. And he also works as my agent. And is that Kevin Hayes? Kevin! Wow. And Ethan. Damn. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I found out. He called me and he said, so when you get to Atlanta, when you land, you need to do something at 3:00. So you need to go to one of the conference rooms or like banquet rooms in the lobby of the hotel. I was like, why? He said, I can't tell you, just show up and get dressed. And it's like, dressed for what? It was like, well, what is this? And, so I did as I was told. And I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting, whatever it is. And I thought it was going to be like, it could have been anything, like some kind of interview or something that I had to do because I was in the middle of a trio tour at the time. Mm-hmm. And then I saw you in the room. And I saw Vivian and I saw Seth. And I saw a couple people that I recognized. And I was like, what the hell is going on in here? And I was sitting there meeting. I remember meeting and greeting everybody, and then Larry Bell grabbed my hand. He was like, "Hey, my name is Larry Bell, and I represent the Gilmore Keyboard Foundation." I was like, "Uh-oh, I have to write something." That was what was going in my mind immediately. It was like, oh, God, and then I heard my girlfriend's voice in the back of my head say, see, this is why you need to read, because somebody's going to come to you with something, and then you're going to have to deliver. And I'm like, I'm stupid. I don't know what they're going to want me to do. And then you guys said that you've been nominated and you've been awarded the Larry Bell Gilmore Artist Award. And I was like, I won something? Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you're so modest.
Nah, I mean, I'm being real. There's no BS with me. Yeah.
Folks, I've gotten to know Larry Bell just a little bit. He's a hip guy. Okay, we should give him a hand. He's a hip guy. He made his money in beer. Okay, so he's a hip guy.
Hell yeah. Beer.
So Sullivan, being on the committee to select you, there were a number of criteria we had to follow. One being character. We had to deal with character. I've known you a long time. I've got to know your parents a long time. And we got to give them a hand because it's the character of Sullivan Fortner and his dad.
My daddy.
But your dad didn't want you to go into the music business. Tell them about the pact you guys made.
Well, I graduated from high school as valedictorian of my high school, McDonough 35, which is probably the oldest African-American high school in New Orleans. And part of the deal whenever you're in, if you make it to the top 10 or top 35, you're automatically awarded a full scholarship to any university in New Orleans. So I could have gone to Xavier, I could have gone to Dillard University, University of New Orleans, Loyola University, Tulane, all that
Full
stuff.
ride.
Full ride. And I told my dad I wanted to go into music. It was kind of like off a whim decision. I was driving home from prom, and I had a conversation with God, and I said, I'm pretty sure that I would probably kill somebody if I were to become a neurologist.
The nerve of you.
So I said, look, if this is what I'm supposed to do, you're gonna have to figure out a way. This is what I said. You're gonna have to figure out a way to make this work. I'm telling God to figure out what, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, so around that time, I submitted a videotape on cassette of me playing the Flintstones to Oberlin Conservatory of Music and to Berkeley. Berkeley put me on the waiting list, and Oberlin gave me about $16,000 scholarship. So I was like, okay, maybe I should go to Oberlin. I said, maybe this is my ticket into music. And my dad said, absolutely not. You're gonna turn down you can get a car, I'll buy you a car. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to, you will have stability. There's no guarantee in music at all. And there's no one in this family that is gonna be able to help you. You know what I mean? I have I have one or two cousins that's professional musicians, but for the most part, I'm the only one. And to pursue jazz, which was something that, was not in my household at all. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? To go and to pursue that, it was just like, bro, you're on your own with this. So I told him, I said, I really feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. He said, well, please, if you're going to do this, make sure you get a master's degree. So that way, at least if all else fails, you can teach a kindergartner how to blow through a recorder. And that's the conversation I had with my dad in the computer room of our house before I turned in my acceptance letter to Oberlin Conservatory. And that was it.
He's a proud man now.
I hope so.
Another criteria we had was you had to be a profound musician with a breadth of musicianship. Now, you didn't come necessarily from a music family, although, Mom, you did do some piano playing, gospel stuff.
My mom, well, my whole family on my mom's side in particular are singers. And now they've been branching out a little bit more into the professional field, doing background stuff. But for the most part, it's just been gospel music, singing in church on Sunday mornings with the choir, the praise team. Mm-hmm. And my mom was my first music teacher. She pretty much brought me to every single rehearsal and made me sit down, even though I wanted to stand next to the organ player. She made me sit in the tenor section and say, no, you being weird. And and the choir director, who is also the organist, was Miss Betty. She's like, no, he's fine. He's not bothering me at all. So I would just sit next to her. And of course I had a crush on her because, she smelled like cocoa butter and she had gold hair. She smelled good. When you're 4 years old, you smell good. You got treats. You in love. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that was what that was. I mean, but the person I always wanted to play for always was my mom and my grandmother. Mm-hmm. Those are the people I wanted to play for. I had no idea I would be doing this at all. I just wanted to play. I wanted to play for my grandma and be able to keep time. That's all.
Wow. But as you grew as a piano player, where did jazz come in? Where did pop and hip hop and everything else you're listening to?
My dad always had R&B. Everybody old school R&B. He had that playing in the trucks. And it was funny, at 12 years old, my other part-time job was killing rats and snakes and cutting grass at my grandmother's house every other week, especially during the summers. And those drives from my house to her house would probably be about a good hour, you would say. And we would play everything. My dad would put in, this is the OJs, this is Earth, Wind, and Fire, this is Stevie Wonder, this is the Spinners, this is, you name it, all the old school 70s, 80s R&B, Babyface, and Anita Baker, and, Shaka Khan, and, all of those guys. Michael Jackson. My mom was also an R&B fan too. Don't get it wrong.
Yeah.
She was, but mostly in the car with my mom was mostly gospel music. Me and my sisters would ride home and ride to and from school, just doing ear training tests. So she would say, okay, she would play a recording of a gospel album. She'd be like, of a song, and she'd be like, all right, Sal, my nickname is Sal. She said, all right, Sal, what's the alto line?
Wow.
And we would have to sing it back to her. And it would be the same with my sisters. So Amanda, who was my baby sister, said, what's the tenor line? And she would have to sing that back. And we would all be trying to harmonize. We would harmonize. Me and my two sisters would harmonize. So with my mom, we would harmonize all the way through, just going through the whole song. And that's how we developed our ears. You know. So, you know, she was, like I said, she was my first music teacher in that way.
Wow. Okay, so where did jazz come in? We got gospel, we got R&B. Where did jazz come in?
There was a guy that came to church. I had to have been about 11 or 12. His name was Ronald Markham. Ronald came on the organ. He was like, oh, you got a lot of talent. Sit down. This is after choir rehearsal one day. He was like, okay. And he goes through and he starts playing Bach preludes. I said, what's that? He said, this is classical music. He was like, okay. And then he goes and he plays some jazz. He's like, what's that? Like, sound like Jimmy Smith on the organ. I was like, what is that? He said, that's jazz. He said, you need to go to the New Orleans Center for Creative Arts. And I'm like, well, what do I need to do to get into that? He said, well, just apply. Just apply, just the way you play. And so I applied. 8th grade, I was in the 8th grade, I applied. I couldn't play a C major scale to save my life. I didn't know how to play a scale going up or a scale going down. The only thing I knew was gospel songs, so I auditioned playing Because He Lives and got in.
Wow.
And yeah, and that was my introduction. I walk into the classroom the first day of school. It was Christian Scott, better known as Zion Atunde Adjua. There was Troy Trombone Shorty Andrews, you know. So I'm like, as I'm learning jazz, I'm also being surrounded by a community of people who actually grew up with the music with a certain type of legacy with it. And so they kind of took me under their wing. And he was like, you need to listen to this record. You need to check this out. I had a teacher named Peter Martin who said, okay, this is Herbie Hancock's theme for Blow Up. Don't come back next week until you've learned it. And so I learned it. And said, okay, cool. And I hated jazz for the first 2 years of it. I just couldn't stand it. It was too long, solos, none of this stuff made sense. It was like, this is a waste of time and energy. You know, because I just wanted to play the big chords, you know what I mean? You know. And so, my teacher, Clyde Kerr Jr., gave me an album called Concert by the Sea.
Ooh, Errol Garner.
And he said, if you do not like Errol Garner after this, you shouldn't be a jazz musician. And it was the first time I had actually experienced music to the point of tears. And that was it. I've been trying to chase this thing ever since.
That second tune you played, what was the name of that? That was an original.
That was an original. It was called Snakes and Ladders.
That's right. There was a little impressionistic vibe going on there.
Uh-huh.
Were there classical musicians part of your musicianship coming up?
Yeah, you know, I had a little girlfriend that sang opera. I always have girlfriends that are singers. What a drag.
I am not going there.
But no, she was an opera singer, so she introduced me to people like Puccini and Verdi and
Wow.
And then when I got to Oberlin, Oberlin being like a prestigious conservatory, especially for vocalists, going around the practice rooms and going to the operas that they would put on at the school. Listening to the Oberlin Orchestra, you get exposed to Rimsky-Korsakov and Berlioz and Rachmaninoff and Prokofiev, piano concerto. There was a piano concerto competition I will never forget, because I walked in, I was practicing on a concert stage. I was trying to fumble through some Chopin, and one of the classical ladies walked in and she looked at me. She was like, "What is that you playing?" And I said, "I'm trying to play a Chopin etude," and she laughs at me and walks away. Yeah, those are just fun times. Yeah.
You remember it must have inspired you.
It did. It definitely inspired me to practice, for sure.
Okay, now, the Gilmore is a classical organization before they ventured into our sphere Had you heard of them before?
I had, as a matter of fact, I had done some concerts through the Gilmore because of the American Pianist Association. I heard that Joe Harrison is here. I'm
Yes,
not sure.
he is. I saw
He
him.
is?
Yes,
Hey,
there
Joe!
is.
What's up, Joe? He's the president at the time.
Well, no, yeah, at the time, not anymore.
Yeah,
He
not
made that
anymore.
clear to me. Retirement. He made it
Retired.
clear.
Retired and happy, probably. But just, and also I'd heard about it, at Oberlin and Manhattan School,
But
people.
mostly from the classical
Mostly
folks.
from the classical folks,
But you've played the festival before.
I played the festival a couple times.
Okay, so you have this big prize, the biggest jazz prize ever. And you've had a few months to serenade, or to marinate with it. Any plans on musical dreams that you want to fulfill that maybe this will help you do, or any kind of musical plans that you can share that this prize will help you succeed in?
Well, one of the things that I think I would like to do is, and I've been working on it a little bit in passing, but maybe this will give me the opportunity to do that, would be a choral album and a few concerts with my family.
Whoa.
So it would be about maybe, to get, about a good chunk of us, my mom's aunts and uncles, and who, the remaining ones, and their kids and grandkids and nieces and nephews, just all together, and just sing original compositions and arrangements of mine, and maybe, we'll just see what happens. Hopefully, that would afford me the opportunity to do that. That's just one of the things that I'm thinking.
Man, another aspect we had to look at was collaboration. And I know you collaborating with a lot of folks. I think you've on every Lauren Henderson record.
Yeah,
I think.
oh boy.
Yeah, and then you have a nice thing. You and Etienne have a
Charles.
groove. And there are certain people you have great collaborative efforts with. There's some piano players too. I just learned this. If you guys know who Mike King is, he's a piano player. They were roommates for 4 years.
God help us.
Yes. And there's some great piano players out here. Anybody you would dream to collaborate with?
Oh man, dream to collaborate with. I mean, there's so many. I mean, I did a thing this past weekend. It was with Jason Moran and Chris Davis and George Cables and David Varelis. And
he's so good.
Yeah, they're all just incredible. And it was really, really fun to sit inside of their sounds and to really learn from them. I would like to do a lot more of that. Gonzalo is top on the list. I'm glad to see Kevin here. Kevin's one. Craig Taborn is one. Brad Meldau is one. Herbie Hancock is one. I mean, just throwing stuff out, I really miss Barry Harris. That would have been incredible.
Yeah.
To have him, as a teacher, a mentor, and a friend, Ethan, there's so many. I've done some stuff with Fred Hirsch. That's been fun.
He's another great collaborator with piano players and other
Oh
folks.
yeah.
Man. Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Oh yeah. And I studied with him for about 5 years, but off and on for about 5 to 7 years. And he was definitely a source of inspiration and wisdom. Sometimes he laid it to me straight, and I walked home. I was like, he really just told me I sucked in like the nicest way. If Fred has that power, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Okay, so I'll leave the last subject about your girlfriend, who is inspiring you other ways outside of music. Your clothes, and
Yeah, I was looking like a homeless person before I met her.
but Sullivan was a classy homeless person. Okay, so
I gotta tell you the story about who's the drummer? Paul Motion at the Vanguard. So I decided one day to help him with the drums, and I was wearing with his drums. He was the Sunday night last set of the Vanguard. And I decided I was going to go and help him with his drums. I was wearing a black trench coat, black jogging suit pants, and a hoodie and a hat, black hat. So he, I help him with his drums upstairs. He looks at me, goes in his pocket, he gives me a dime. And then after it was over, after I was like, oh, thank you. And then this guy said, Sullivan, where you going? So I might go to Smalls before I go home, late night jam session. It'll be fun to go and hang out and play. He looked at me, Paul Mosher looked at me and said, wait, you're not homeless? So give me my damn dime back and then to give it back to him. That's how bad a shape I was.
So she has help.
She definitely helped me, and still helping me.
Well, man, we could talk forever, but they gave me 15 minutes, and
Okay.
I'm already too
I'm
late.
sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I love him. Sullivan Fortner, everybody.